Hello, and thank you for joining us for Community Crossroads. I'm Carolina Astra, and today we hear from Hope of South Texas. We also hear from the Innovation Collective, the City of Victoria, and Harbor Hospice, and more. We now welcome Shelby Coleman with the Hope of South Texas. Welcome to Community Crossroads.
Yes, glad to be back.
So Shelby, it is Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month.
Yes.
What are some signs of child abuse that we should all be looking for?
So for physical abuse, we're going to be looking for bruising in areas that children really don't get bruises in. So the most common areas are these bony prominences where we are most likely to fall and catch ourselves. So elbows and knees are the most common. If we're seeing bruising anywhere on the face, on the back of the thighs, the back, those are a little bit of some red flags. Also for physical abuse, frequent different bruising, broken bones, and things like that. For sexual abuse, we're looking at issues going to the restroom, but whenever we look at both physical and sexual abuse, it's changes in behavior. So if there's a child who's usually very talkative and outgoing, if suddenly they're very withdrawn, not talking, overall sad mood, that might also be a red flag that something's going on there.
And throughout this month of April, through your work with Hope of South Texas, you've been traveling. You're on the road.
Yes, I've been doing a lot of presentations for Head Starts, for parents to notice the signs of child abuse and also how to report it if they do have suspicions.
And what are some things that a concerned individual that does notice these signs, what can they do?
Yeah, so we always like to say, if you say something, see something. So if it's even a suspicion and you're thinking, maybe I don't know if I should report that, there is a hotline number on the DFPS website. It's 1-800-252-5400. And you can give them all the information that you have. And if they think that you should report it, they'll tell you to go ahead and do it. If they think that there's not enough information there, then they'll tell you no. But it always just helps to get a professional's opinion on it, but for any suspicion that a person may have.
And child abuse, that also includes verbal abuse, emotional abuse.
Yes, yes, and we see a lot of the same behaviors. Over compliance, children want to, make sure that everything's okay, so that way they aren't getting in trouble or getting talked down on. And kind of those same behavioral changes, overall sad mood, low self-esteem, things like that.
And what are some resources that parents can use to further educate themselves, to avoid these kind of confrontations and to build a happy and healthy relationship with their child?
Right. Continuing education is always important, looking into the signs and symptoms of abuse so that way parents are aware. If they're ever interested in any presentations that Hope of South Texas offers, I'm happy to do those for the community members, for parents, school members, teachers, administration, anyone who works with children.
And just being aware of who the adults in the rooms that your children are in are.
Right, and I always like, for a rule of thumb, to tell children, I like to have a list of 5 trusted adults, so that way if you tell someone and maybe they don't believe or maybe they don't understand, you have a whole other list of trusted adults, so that way you always have a group of people that are ready to support you.
And this is advice for the children?
Yes, to always have a list of 5 trusted adults that you can go to.
Well, let's go ahead and share some of those signs with our viewers.
Yes.
If your child or a child is showing withdrawal from friends, hobbies, changes in behavior, depression and anxiety, especially if they're outgoing.
Of course, yes.
And frequent absences from school. These can all be indicators of child abuse in the home.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing this very important information. And I hope the children listening learn to have 5 dependable adults in their lives that they can reach out to if needed.
Yes, and I always like to spread it out, in the family, at school, maybe at a church event, just so that way kind of all the bases are covered, that they have a trusted adult somewhere in their lives.
Wow, thank you so much, Shelby, and thank you for all that Hope of South Texas does and for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And coming up, don't go anywhere, we hear from the Innovation Collective.